It was the kind of Tuesday night in Harlem that felt heavy, the air thick with the humidity of lingering summer and the electric anticipation of a storm. The date was October 12, 1954. Inside the humid, leather-scented cavern of the Uptown Gym on 116th Street, the rhythmic thud-thud-thud of a heavy bag was the heartbeat of the neighborhood. The man hammering the canvas was Leon the Lion Williams. At 21 years old, Leon was a sculpture of obsidian muscle, a heavyweight with a jab like a piston, and a smile that could disarm a traffic cop. He was the golden boy of 116th Street, the hope of every kid who shined shoes and dreamed of Madison Square Garden. Watching him from the shadows of the entrance, however, was a different kind of predator. Silas Vane was a promoter from downtown, a man whose suits cost more than the gym's entire equipment inventory. Vane was pale, slick, and carried the stench of old money and new greed. He wasn't alone. He had a contract tucked into his breast pocket, a document that promised Leon the world, the lights, the fame, the champagne. The neighborhood was buzzing. They said Leon was going to be the next Joe Louis. They said the white man was finally giving a Harlem boy a fair shot at the title. But sitting in the back of the gym, almost invisible in the dim light, sat Ellsworth Bumpy Johnson. He wasn't watching Leon's fists. He was watching Silas Vane's eyes. Bumpy saw what the others didn't. He saw the hunger of a wolf looking at a lamb. Bumpy knew that in the jungle of New York, the most dangerous weapon wasn't a switchblade or a .38 special. It was a fountain pen. Later that evening, the celebration moved to Wells Restaurant, famous for its chicken and waffles, and for being the unofficial town hall of Harlem's elite. Leon was there, surrounded by hangers-on, drunk on the promise of a future he hadn't yet earned. Vane was buying rounds, flashing a gold lighter, laughing too loud. He placed the contract on the table, a thick stack of legal papers dense with jargon. "Just a formality, kid," Vane said, uncapping a Mont Blanc pen. "Sign here, and you're the king of New York." Leon reached for the pen. His hand, wrapped in tape, trembled slightly, not from fear, but from adrenaline. He was ready to sign his life away for an advance of $5,000. "Put the pen down, Leon." The voice wasn't loud, but it cut through the noise of the restaurant like a razor through silk. The music didn't stop, but the conversations at the nearby tables did. Bumpy Johnson stood up from a corner booth. He walked over to the center table with the slow, terrifying grace of a panther. He didn't look at Leon. He looked at Vane. "Mr. Vane," Bumpy said, pulling out a chair and sitting down uninvited. "Before the boy signs, I'd like to read the bedtime story you wrote for him." Vane stiffened. He knew who Bumpy was. Everyone knew. But he was a man of the corporate world, and he believed his legal armor protected him from street gangsters. "This is a private business matter, Mr. Johnson," Vane sneered. "Standard management agreement. The kid can read it later." Bumpy didn't blink. He reached out, his movements precise, and slid the contract from under Leon's hand. He put on a pair of reading glasses, a gesture that transformed him from a street boss into a professor. "Standard," Bumpy repeated, scanning the document. "I love that word. It usually means robbery in Latin." For 10 agonizing minutes, Bumpy read in silence. The restaurant was deathly quiet. Leon looked confused, shifting in his seat. Vane tapped his foot, checking his watch, sweating. Finally, Bumpy stopped at page 12, paragraph 4. He looked up, removed his glasses, and smiled. It was a cold smile, devoid of warmth. "Leon," Bumpy said softly, "do you know what cross-collateralization of recoupable expenses means?" Leon shook his head. "No, Bumpy. Mr. Vane said it just means they cover the training costs. Bumpy turned the contract toward Leon. "It means," Bumpy explained, his voice calm but hard as iron, "that everything you eat, every roll of tape on your hands, the hotel you sleep in, the steak you eat for dinner, and the suit Mr. Vane is wearing right now, you pay for it. But you don't pay with cash. You pay with your future earnings. If you win the purse, they deduct the expenses first. And since Mr. Vane decides what the expenses are, somehow, the expenses will always be exactly $1 more than your prize money." Bumpy looked at Vane. Clause 14b. Perpetual option. If Leon owes the management company money, which he always will because of the expenses, the contract automatically renews for another 5 years. You aren't signing a partnership, Leon. You're signing a slavery papers. You'll be a champion who owes his soul to the company store. Vane stood up, his face red. "This is outrageous. I am making this boy a star. Without me, he's just another bum fighting in a basement. If he doesn't sign tonight, the deal is off. The fight at the Garden is canceled. I'll blackball him from every ring in America." Leon looked terrified. "Bumpy, please. It's my shot." Bumpy didn't stand up. He didn't raise his voice. He simply poured himself a glass of water from the pitcher on the table. "Sit down, Silas," Bumpy said. The command was absolute. Vane hesitated, then sat. "You won't cancel the fight," Bumpy said, taking a sip. "Watch me," Vane spat. "I control the venue. I control the ticket sales. Actually," Bumpy corrected him, "you don't. Not anymore." Bumpy reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a stack of ticket stubs. "You see, Silas, I knew you were coming. I knew you were a shark. So, this morning, I had my associates visit every box office outlet in the city. We bought the first 5 rows. Ringside, 200 seats." Vane laughed nervously. "So, you gave me a sellout. Thanks for the money." "I didn't buy them for myself," Bumpy continued, his voice dropping an octave, becoming darker. "I gave them away, to the dock workers from the local union, to the sanitation workers, to the men who work double shifts and don't take kindly to being cheated. They are very excited to see Leon fight. They consider him family." Bumpy leaned forward, his eyes locking onto Vane's. "Now, imagine this scenario, Silas. The fight is canceled. Or Leon fights, but he looks tired. Maybe he takes a dive because his manager told him to. And 200 angry, large men in the front row feel disappointed. They want their refund. And they don't want to wait for the mail. They want to discuss the refund with the promoter. Immediately. In the ring." The color drained from Vane's face. He realized the trap. He was locked in a cage with a lion, and Bumpy held the key. Bumpy wasn't threatening to hurt him. He was threatening to unleash the chaotic justice of the crowd. "What do you want?" Vane whispered. Bumpy slid the contract back to Vane, along with the Mont Blanc pen. He then pulled a napkin from the dispenser. "We are going to write a new contract, right here, on this napkin. Short, simple, honest." Bumpy dictated. Clause 1. Manager takes 20%, flat, no expenses deducted. Clause 2. Fighter retains all rights to his likeness. Clause 3. Contract expires in 2 years, regardless of debt. Clause 4. Leon fights to win. Always. Vane's hand shook as he transcribed the terms onto the napkin. He looked at the legal document he had brought, the weapon he had sharpened to slice Leon apart, and realized it was useless against the raw leverage of the street. "Sign it," Bumpy ordered. Vane signed. Then Leon signed. Bumpy took the napkin, folded it carefully, and placed it in Leon's shirt pocket. "You're going to be a champion, Leon," Bumpy said, standing up and buttoning his jacket. "But remember this night. The hardest hit you'll ever take won't be in the ring. It'll be in an office, from a man smiling and handing you a pen. The poison isn't in the water bottle, kid. It's in the ink. Bumpy turned to leave, stopping only to drop a crumpled $10 bill on the table. "Silas," he said, not looking back. "The drinks are on you. And get the boy a steak. He needs his protein. I'll be checking the receipt." When Leon the Lion Williams stepped into the ring at Madison Square Garden 3 months later, he didn't just carry the hopes of Harlem on his shoulders. He carried a shield. He fought with the ferocity of a man who owned himself. He knocked out his opponent in the 4th round. And as the referee raised Leon's hand in victory, Bumpy Johnson was there, sitting in the front row, not cheering, just nodding. He wasn't watching the knockout punch. He was watching Silas Vane, who stood in the corner, looking defeated despite the win, knowing that the real king of Harlem wasn't the one wearing the gloves, but the one who ensured the gloves weren't poisoned. This story, like many others, traveled through the barber shops and the jazz clubs, growing taller with each telling. Some say Bumpy held a gun under the table. Others say he had the mayor on the phone. But the truth is far more potent. Bumpy Johnson didn't need a gun that night. He understood that in a world designed to exploit the weak, true power comes from literacy, from understanding the rules better than the people who wrote them, and from the collective strength of a community that refuses to be sold. It leaves us with a question that rings louder than the final bell of a boxing match. In your life, when the contract is placed before you, when the promise of easy money and instant fame is dangling like a carrot, who is reading the fine print for you? Are you Leon, ready to sign? Or do you have a Bumpy Johnson in your corner, reminding you that your soul is not a commodity to be traded? Because the world is full of Silas Vanes, and they always have a pen ready. The only defense is to know exactly what you are worth, and to never, ever let them own the rights to your fight.